This is TrueNorthTV, powered by Communitech. From Waterloo Region, Ontario, Canada, to the world. The conversations you need and want to hear with interesting people on topics at the intersection of technology and humanity. Tech for good. Let's get started.
Thanks, Talia. Hi, everyone, and thanks for joining us for this very special episode of TrueNorthTV. So what makes it so special? Well, today my guest is David Stein. He's the co-founder and managing partner at Leaders Fund, a Toronto-based venture capital firm that invests in software companies. And today, David is here to announce the winner of the $1 million Leaders Prize, a national contest he spearheaded in 2018 to encourage Canadian innovators to tackle a global problem using artificial intelligence. The specific challenge issued to competitors was to build a tool to fight fake news, that the spread of online misinformation, which has become such a huge global problem and has exploded in recent years. Now, many entrepreneurs and innovators rose to the challenge, and 9 teams made the cut, but there's only one winner. And David's going to announce that winner later in this episode. But first, we're going to talk a bit about the genesis of the Leaders Prize and about why Tech for Good is so important for Canada and for the world. David Stein, welcome to TrueNorthTV.
Hi, Ian. Thanks so much for having me on the show today.
Great to have you on the show, David. Thank you so much for joining us here on TrueNorthTV. It was interesting. Our last TV that we did together, of course, was Breakfast Television. It was the night after a Raptors playoff game, and it had been a very late night. There was lots of coffee, and it was very early morning for us to be getting together. You took to the stage last year, 2019 True North Festival, to announce that the challenge was going to be to make a dent, to take on this huge societal challenge around fake news. Of course, COVID hit. Do you think that this has affected the process or the way that we have come at this challenge of addressing fake news?
Well, Ian, I think there's really two issues there. The first is, how has COVID impacted the ability of the teams competing in this competition, given that maybe, they're not able to work collaboratively, they're working now in distance. They may not have as much access to university labs if they're university teams. So teams have had to really figure out how to be creative to get the work done and to continue to advance their problems. I think the second and more important and interesting element of this is that with COVID, we've seen the same problem again, where fake news has again been an issue around what's going on with COVID-19. We're hearing all kinds of sort of outrageous theories on how to treat it, how many people have it. There's misinformation spreading all over the show. And so I think it just almost reinforces, again, the importance of solving this big problem.
Yeah, I mean, it's amazing where the fake news is coming from. I mean, there's people who are saying we should be just injecting bleach into our veins and that will somehow solve us. Don't do that, whatever you do. So, David, let's back this up a little bit further. What was the genesis for the Leaders Prize? Why, where did this idea come from? And why the focus on AI specifically?
Yeah, so what happened, Ian, is if I look back, I've spent about the last 25 years working in tech. I've been fortunate to build a couple of nice tech companies, and now I've been working on the investment front for the last 4 years. And when I looked at Canada, I sort of started to think, well, we have this incredible talent. I mean, we look in where we are today in Waterloo, incredible students. We have this great amount of strength being built in artificial intelligence. And yet a lot of the companies we were meeting, we thought were taking on what we, just more trivial challenges. And so part of the genesis was we said to ourselves, how could we sort of change a bit of the culture to say we have this great talent? Why don't we tackle really, really big problems, high risk problems, but problems that if we solve can make a meaningful dent in the universe? And so that's where this genesis came. And so we said, how do we think of a really big problem? How do we catalyze Canadians and only Canadians? So we did not open the competition to people outside of Canada. And we said, let's make it a significant enough bounty that we're going to get really great people working on the problem. And that's where the slogan came together of one nation, one problem, $1 million. And so that's kind of some of the genesis about why why AI and why now?
Yeah, no, it's really interesting, and I love the fact that it's bold of you, I think, to or ambitious, that we feel that we've earned the right as Canadians to solve the world's biggest problems. I love the fact that it was limited to Canadians and Canadian residents. Gosh, we've made it to this point in time where we should be thinking about solving the world's biggest problems. Many of the companies that we work with, we have this exact same conversation where the markets they're going after are just too small, and I think that's something that traditionally we do as Canadians. And the more we can get people thinking about big, bold problems, because of course the biggest companies are going to be going after the biggest markets, which are largely the biggest challenges that we face, whether it's talking about the environment or food, or of course fake news is the one that was chosen. We first met, I believe it was at the first True North Festival, and of course, then we had some conversations about doing this idea of doing this Leaders Prize in a partnership. But why did you want to kick this off and have it be part of our True North Festival? What was it that attracted you to that?
Well, let's take a step back. The first thing that we were excited to do was to work with Communitech, your organization, because we were very impressed with the platform, the work you do in the community, the reach, the set of entrepreneurs that have sort of coalesced around the organization. So when we were looking for a partner to run this with, those were important things for us, and we settled on Communitech because we really liked your team and your organization and the confidence we had that you could run this competition platform. To the question of why True North we thought was an excellent conference, convention, event where again we were getting global leaders and global attention on the region. We were getting a lot of local companies and companies from the region again paying attention. And moreover, we really liked the theme of tech for good because we thought with the strength of AI we have in the community, with a platform that you've built with Communitech and True North, and then tackling something that was really a problem that helps people. Yes, it has commercial value, but it is also tackling what we think really is a threat to democracy. So we thought, what a better place than Tech for Good, True North, run by Communitech, and as a great partner. And we've really been excited with the partnership as it's unfolded over this competition.
And as have we. It's been an interesting journey because of course we were slated to announce the winner at True North Festival, which we were taking from 2,500 people to 25,000 people, and it was coming together. And of course, then COVID hit, and because of COVID, we had to move to a virtual environment. I guess the one question I've got is, as you sort of think forward in the future, what is going to what do you think is going to happen with fake news, and is this the beginning of actually being able to have a set of tools in place that are going to allow us to have greater accountability for what people are posting or what people are believing as to be news?
Well, Ian, I think we were fortunate to pick this subject for the competition because as the competition has moved forward, we've really seen that fake news has become a bigger and bigger issue. More and more people are aware of it. More and more organizations are interested in fighting it and curbing it. And we're seeing with COVID as a factor, with upcoming elections in the U.S., with a minority government in Canada, elections potentially around the corner, these type of events tend to be real catalysts for nation states and just rogue actors to try and use fake news to their advantage. So I feel like as we've moved through this competition, we've actually reached a point where there's more attention on the problem. And I think like cybersecurity and other things, this is going to be an ongoing threat where it's a cat and mouse game. But I feel like with the strides that we're going to make with this competition and with other organizations working on things around fake news, we're going to start to see a big improvement in terms of the ability to know what you're reading, trust the source of where it's coming from, understand if something's questionable in nature so you can do your own research. And so I think as a society, we're going to have a much better sense moving forward of what are we reading, how accurate is it, how trusted is the source, which again, I think is better for the society and democracy.
It certainly is, and I would personally love to see a lot of the sort of outstanding media outlets around the world find a model whereby they can take down the paywalls. So David, this has been quite a journey. It was, obviously conversations that we've had over the last number of years, thinking about, a big, bold challenge. I personally love challenges, and the fact that, unlike, an RFP, a challenge is focused on solving a big problem that will lead to a big market and a big opportunity for a company. One of my favorite examples of the power of a challenge was a challenge that was made in Israel, that they needed to be 100% self-reliant on potable water, and of course they are now. And it's this approach which I think is the approach that activates innovators and entrepreneurs to rely on them to solve these problems, as opposed to often we get into a situation where an industry or a corporation will say, we have this problem, we need to solve it ourselves, and they never really can. And so this is why I'm such a big fan of challenges. We're increasingly seeing challenges now across Canada being used as a way to solve for materials for N95 masks, or to solve for kinds of other types of PPE equipment that we need. And so I think it's a really big opportunity. And I think you were early at articulating this idea of using a challenge to align and focus effort around a very important issue. As you think about what's coming out of this, where are we going as far as fake news? Are we going to make a dent in it? Are we going to get to a point where it's going to have to fight for dominance over real news? How much of a cat and mouse game is this going to end up being in the next little while?
Yeah, so I think it's a really interesting thing. So one, totally agree with you on the challenge. I think it really does create that forcing function, that focus to sort of unlock innovators that could be anywhere, and take any constraints away from tackling a large problem. In terms of making a dent, I think we are going to see some strides over the next probably 12, 24, and 36 months. The political situation has been a catalyst with upcoming elections in the US. The COVID-19 situation, where again, there's been crazy theories thrown out and people don't know what to believe. That's been another catalyst. I think with this sort of general movement we're seeing around, people want to understand what institution stands for, what sources they can believe in, what's fact versus opinion. There was a time when we all used to read the news and you knew what was a fact and what was an opinion. And now we seem to be more and more polarized and sort of dominated by opinion over fact. So I think by the Leaders Prize and by solutions that get into the marketplace, by being able to tag what we read and understand where did it come from, what's the trust and reliability of that source. Not that different in a way when you think about how Google ranks search terms, where they have a way to figure out how important and therefore where you should be ranked in a search. I see the same thing happening here, where when we're going to read information, we're going to have some kind of label that's going to help us understand how trusted that source is and how believable the content is. So we as citizens are going to be much more informed. And I think in turn, as the benefits for people putting out the fake news go down, they're going to turn their attention to some other scheme. And so we should see some abatement in the sort of volume of fake news as we get better at countering it.
Well, that's encouraging to hear, because it is one of the biggest issues we're facing right now in the world. Now, David, the Leaders Prize, of course, included the Schulich Foundation, and of course, the Schulich Foundation is based on the philanthropy of the Schulich family, and the success that Seymour Schulich has had over the course of his lifetime. What do you think it is that makes, and I know you have an opportunity to get to know Seymour as well, what do you think it is that has made him such a great philanthropist for Canada? And what can we do to use him as a role model to, get every entrepreneur at every stage to be thinking about their social contract, their commitment to things like Tech for Good, but also their commitment to philanthropy? Tell me a bit about sort of what his motivations are, and what we can learn from that and apply to other founders in Canada.
Yeah, so I mean, Mr. Schulich is an inspirational figure. Clearly has been exceptionally successful in the business realm, but always had a view of giving back to Canada. He's from Canada. He's had a lot of success here. So it's always been part of his DNA to say, sort of, how do I give back? But what he's done beyond that has been very smart, very methodical, and very focused about how he thinks about achieving that goal. So philanthropy is, it sounds easier just giving away money, but to actually do it with purpose, to do it to generate outcomes is difficult. So one of the first things he did that I think we can all learn from, which led to success, is read a lot. He reads 1 or 2 books every week. Number 2, be focused. So in his world, that was really about this idea of how do we increase the GDP of Canada? And a way to do that, a lot of it is through education in general. 2, focusing a lot on STEM. So he runs a program called the Schulich Leader Scholars, where 100 kids across Canada every year get up to a $100,000 scholarship for engineering and $80,000 scholarship each to study sciences. And the universities pick the winners, and there's a formula where every high school in Canada can participate. But the idea is that platform in turn recognizes really great potential. It also deals with kids with financial need. So now you're giving kids who may not have had the opportunity to pursue their educational dreams that opportunity. And that in turn creates a really large funnel of high potential individuals who will likely go on to do great things. So again, it's this focused approach to education, to backing winners, and that tied into Leaders Prize. So when I was speaking to him about this concept of Leaders Prize, it was just another way to say, in this whole innovation channel, you have all these students who are getting these STEM scholarships. Wouldn't it be great if some of them actually, who had the skills in computer science and engineering, could go on and try and now tackle this problem? And wouldn't that be amazing as sort of an outcome? And so for him, it's been very much around, does this, what you're doing, does it leverage STEM? Does it leverage education? Does it focus on, backing winners? And that in turn, I think, has led to having this huge national impact in philanthropy, but in a very focused manner.
Well, we're so fortunate to have Seymour Schulich in our country, and a role model for entrepreneurs as to what their obligations should be as far as philanthropy and giving back to their country. So we're going to move on to the Leaders Prize now, but first we're going to thank our founding partners, and they are the Schulich Foundation, the Leaders Fund, and Communitech. Our academic partners, the University of Waterloo and Waterloo.ai. And finally, our corporate partners who played a huge role in this as well: CIBC, Cisco, Desjardins, PolitiFact, Thomson Reuters, Wawanesa Insurance, Borealis AI, and the Vector Institute. A sincere thank you to all these great partners. Now, as I mentioned at the beginning, David, of this episode, 9 teams made it to the final cut. And over the past year, these teams have been working on incorporating AI algorithms into figuring out how to stop fake news. And now one of these teams is about to take home the $1 million prize. David, please tell us, who were the 9 finalists for the Leaders Prize?
Yeah, so it's a very exciting time, Ian. If you remember, we started with 100 teams. We then had a first round of competition, and we got down to the final 9 who have been working on this for a good period of time now to get to a great solution. And those teams are J. Mahdi, Debrate, Supersonic, NemaFit, NL Philosophers, Traveling Wilburys, I'm and Learn, Ava, Convoluted LP. So I'd like to thank all the participants. I'd really like to congratulate the 9 finalists. We'd like to thank all of our partners, Communitech, for helping run this platform. A special shout out to the University of Waterloo and Pascal Poupart and his team that have put a lot of time and effort to help shepherd the competition. And it's just been an exciting experience, and we look forward to announcing the winner. And now, to announce the winner of the $1 million prize. Congratulations to Ava. So, we'd really like to thank and congratulate the 9 finalists. And we're really excited for the team who's now taken home the $1 million prize. Congratulations.
Well, that's really exciting, David. Was there something about the winning team that really, caught your attention, that you thought that you either, made you think they were going to win, or surprised you about them?
Yeah, so I think, there's always a surprise is going to be what approach is the team taking to win? How are they attacking the problem? How are they building a solution that's going to work and work quickly? And just how innovative are they in their approach? And so we were very impressed by the winning team and essentially how they combined all those factors. And also, not to be overlooked, is just the tenacity of the number of iterations they took to get to the right solution. Like many things, solutions seem easy when you look at them at the end, but people underestimate how much work, how many revisions, how much learning and enhancements go in to get to that final product.
Well, it certainly is very exciting, David. And I wanted to take this opportunity to thank you for your leadership, your big idea, and it's been a really great experience to be working with you on this prize over the past year. I also wanted to take an opportunity to thank the Leaders Fund, Schulich Foundation, University of Waterloo, and the team here at Communitech for just doing such a remarkable job at pulling this together and really making it such a great success. So next week, we're going to have an opportunity to tune at TrueNorthTV to learn about the winning team, and I hope you can join us then. David, thanks again for being on the show today. Thank you for your leadership for Canada.
Thanks for having me in. This is really exciting. And thanks again to Communitech and the University of Waterloo for making this competition a reality.
Thanks for watching this episode of True North TV. To catch the next episode, subscribe to Communitech's YouTube channel today.